Yud Likutei Sichos, Parshas Noach, the first Sicha for Parshas Noach. So the Rabbi starts saying, actually this is a Rasha Sicha. So we're going to learn the Sicha, and we're going to touch upon some of the Ha'aras which are negated to the Pshat of the Sicha. Some of them are side matters, but this is going to be related to the Pshat. On the Pasuk that says that you should make a tzayar to the teva. That means in the beginning of the Pasha, when the Eibishter talks to Noach, and he tells him to make a teva, he's going to bring a mabel, he should make an ark, and that's how he'll protect himself. And the Eibishter gave him some instructions of what to do. And the Pasuk says, make it of what material it should be made, and how to smear it with kefir, with tar, and the size it's going to have. Some of these details. And then the Torah says, make a tzayar to the teva. What's a tzayar? The Farash Rashi says tzayar, calls the word from the Pasuk tzayar, and he says, yesh eminim chalein, some say it's a window, yesh eminim even teva ha'me'ir lehem. He said he should bring in a precious jewel which will shine for them. Some diamonds, some jewels, or should give out light. So you should bring in a even teva, a jewel that will shine. So the Pashtas Kavanas Rashi, so simple pshat. What is Rashi trying to say? Rashi is explaining that the word Sayar is Kemet Saharayim, which is air. And in the order, the Rebbe brings different places. Actually, different Meforshim also say that the word Sayar has a touch of light. Like Tzarayim means at a time when it's still light. So what's the pshat in the Pasuk when the Eibishter said, make Sayar? Shem told him, do something to bring light into the table. Now, maybe Rashi, and Rashi says, brings two pshat in what was this light? So the word Sayar is light, but what was this light? So, yesh eminim chalein. Some say this was a window. Shal yoda yikonis eirba teva, that through the window light will come in. The locha nikra hachalin kam b'shem Sayar. That's why it's a window, and Lashon Kodesh, a window is chalein. But here he uses the word Sayar because the purpose of it was to bring in light. And we'll see in the Sikha there, and window could have other purposes too, but here the kavanah of the Eibishter was it should bring in more light, so therefore he called it Sayar. And Yeshemim, some say Even Teva, it was a jewel, and Beloma Nikras can't say, why would a jewel be called Sayar? We're talking about a jewel that will bring light, an Even Teva that will bring light. So Sayar is light, and there are two shots in what the light was. I just want to mention something that the Rebbe doesn't say, but which I imagine, when we're talking about a window, in those days, it wasn't a window like we imagine, a window of glass. There was no glass then. There was no window of glass. A window was a hole in the wall. So this, the Eibishter wanted to make a window. And obviously, this is a window that had a cover. You could cover the window, and you could open the window. But it's a window that when you need light, you'll open the window, and the light will come in. So this is the window. So these are the two pshatim. So the Rebbe says that Tzorich Lopen, we have to understand. In Posik it says the word Sayar, singular. While there is a Pirish Rashi, B'Loshen Yochid Chalein. Rashi also says singular. Rashi teaches the first pshat, a window, not windows, a window. And the other pshat is Even Tev, one jewel. So the Rebbe asks, the Eich Hispik Ha'er Shenichnas Ha'idei Chalein Necho, the Even Teva Achas, L'chol HaTeva. How did the light that came from one window or from one jewel that shined for the whole table, that would be enough light? Show you Sholish Meis Amor, because the table was 300 Amor long, 50 Amor Robo, 50 Amor wide, Ushleishim Amor Kimosa, and 30 Amor height. That's such a place, so one window will work. So how did that bring light? If they needed light and the Eibishter told them to make light, how did this work? Now, in Ha'ara 4, the Rebbe says, that be'emes, there are some Meforshim that say that it doesn't mean one. In Even Ezra it says, Kirabim hoyu. There were many windows, or many Avodim Tevas. And the Pasuk only says it B'Loshen Yochid because he's short. It doesn't always go into all the details. In Teirat Mimo it says this Loshen. Be'emes hoyu chalein is harba. There were many windows. Pirish chalein, when the Rashi says it was a window, chalein doesn't mean a window, a single window. Min chalein, it's a kind of window. Rashi says that sometimes when you talk about a lot of oxen, you could say shade, even though shade is singular. The min share, same thing, min windows. But the Rebbe says that really it's hard to say that, because if so, Rashi would have written clearly. Why would Rashi write chalein, which you have to look later in Rashi and Vayishlach, that you could sometimes use a word singular if you mean the whole min. Rashi would have written chaleines. That's one thing. But besides that, since Rashi saw the Gemara, because it says the Chazal say the Loshen Hashas in Gemara, it says the Loshen Rosh Rabin. And Rashi saw that, and Rashi changes from Losh Rabin to Losh Yochid. So obviously Rashi is telling us that there was only one window and one Eventev. Now, why Rashi doesn't bring the second? Because in Gemara it says the Loshen Sai Ev Avon Tevis Margolius, also Margolius. Margolius is pearls. So the Rebbe says very simply here in the Or in the Shulai Gilyan, pearls don't usually shine, but diamonds sometimes shine. But anyway, the bottom line is, according to Rashi, there was one window. If you learn it means a window. There was one Eventev. And the purpose was to shine, to bring light. How much light could one window bring in already when you have such a big table? The Rebbe goes further. But the kasha is even stronger. Kosev in the Torah it says, kinim tasas ateva. You should make the teva kinim. What's kinim? Pirish Rashi, medurim. There were rooms, chambers. For every behemah, there was a different chamber. That's number one. Number two, tachtim, shnim, shlishin. There were 3 floors. If so, I feel it was a big window. Because the shaila we asked before is, how would one window be enough? It was a big window. But it wouldn't work. Could one window shine into different rooms? It's not like one big. If you have one big empty space, you could say, you have a big window with a lot of light coming in, it'll bring light into the whole thing. But if they're separate, broken up rooms, how could one bring? So the Rebbe Shaili has been negated the window. Now what about the Eventev? So in the Orah 7, the Rebbe says, but negated the Eventev, Shleimar, we could say, al derech hapshat, that they used to carry it around with them. Every time they came, it's like you carry a flashlight. So it's one flashlight, one diamond, one jewel, gem or whatever, and you carry it around. But it's still a deichek to say that would be enough light for the teva. And besides that, it wasn't one person only giving food to the animals. The children all helped. So at the same time, they had to go to different places. So even if you carry it around, but what about the other places where you didn't bring it? So and in Derech Hapshat, you could have answered maybe that you carried around. It's still not a good answer. By the way, the Rebbe says in Gemara, it says clearly Kova Neach. Neach didn't, he said it in, so it was in one place. But even if you'll say it, well, you could carry it according to Pshat, but it's not enough to say that's enough light. A third kasha, we know Sharash Mefarish Beish Perushim Binyan Echad, Be'im Kol Echad Ma Perushim Levade Ein Beket Liyashav HaKosov Pshutim B'chol HaProtim. Whenever Rashi brings two pshatim, why does Rashi bring two pshatim? Learn the posik. You have one pshat. What's wrong with that one pshat? Rashi only brings two pshatim when each one of the two pshatim itself doesn't explain the pshat of the posik in all details. The first pshat explains it, but there's some things not missing, and the second pshat explains it differently and has missing. And whatever is not clear, what is not understood according to one pshat, is not shver, not understood according to the second pshat. Now, each pshat has something that's a problem with that pshat. That's why Rashi brings the second one. The second one has a different problem that's not there in the first. So that's why Rashi brings both. And between the two, which one is closer to pshat? Always the first. Well, Zeb didn't answer. Now we have to understand in this case, where Rashi brings two pshatim, one that was a window, one that was an eventev. What's the shverakai, the hardships in each one of these pshatim? Because of these hardships in each one, Rashi had to bring both. And why is the first one closer to pshat, the better pshat, than the second? Another shayla. Based on what we said, that each pshat that Rashi brings is to explain something that's not understood according to the other pshat. And this pshat explains it. Moving from that, we understand logically, there's What happens if there is a hardship in both pshatim? What do we do with that? So if there is a third pshat, that according to the third pshat, this is not hard, Rashi will bring the third pshat also. Even though the first pshat is also something that's not clear. And it's good even a stronger kasha than the kasha on the first and the second. That's why it's a third pshat. Because they say that is the first is the best, the second is second best, and the third is the third best. But still, it answers certain shaylas that the first two have. So therefore, based on this logic, that there's a third shot that answers a kasha that's according to both, since we said before that according to both shotim, there is a common kasha. How did one window or one eventev light up be used for the whole teva? And that's a kasha on both shotim. Like so why didn't Rashi bring a third shot? Like the Cheskuni says that Tzayer Meloshin Yitzhar. Another pshat in the word Tzayer. Till now we were saying Yitzhar is Meloshin Tzayer means shine. Like the word Zayar. Zayar and Tzayer is the same idea. Shine. But he says it's a different word. Yitzhar, Dogan Tirish Yitzhar. Yitzhar is Shemen, is oil. And when the Abisha said you should make a Tzayer, Kavona Sakosavi, the Cheskuni says the pshat is Noach Shemen, bring oil into the teva. In order to be able to light. You have oil, and then you can make a fire, and you could have light. So maybe that's what Abisha said. And that's a pshat that answers the kasha that we have on both. How were they enough? You might say, well, the way tzeya to cite yitzhar is not such a simple taich. And also there's another problem with this pshat that he meant bring in oil. So why does it say tzeya tasel lateva? You should make tzeya to the teva. He should have said tzeya tachnis lateva. Bring in tzeya, bring in oil. So b'meile we could say that the Rashi doesn't bring this third pshat because it's shredakite and there's certain hardships. But on the other hand, had a dafke lepirish zeh. Dafke according to this pshat is yashav atmiya amura. The kasha we said before, according to both, that how were they enough for the whole teva? This would have been answered. So B'meili, even though this has a problem also, but we said before, the other part also, if you have a pshat, even though it has a problem, so then it'll be a kaponim avarash, it'll be a kipirish shlish, it'll be a third pshat. Because every pshat, if Rashi brings more than one, that means each pshat has a problem. So this will also have a problem. Doesn't fit the lotion of the pasuk so much, but its answers are made akasha and the other two. So why doesn't Rashi bring it? So here, in Ha'ora 10, the Rabbi brings the Levush. The Levush is one of the Meforshim Rashi. That why Rashi doesn't want to learn that he meant to bring in oil to make a fire to light. So the Rabbi says it's a deicha gechura deicha gleimer ki Levush Eira. That's a deicha to say. He says like this: Keep mishatera that teva v'tala b'eish samayim. When the teva will float on the water, there will be waves. It'll be jumping up and down. Yata Hashemen. The oil, every time it gives go up, the oil moves to the side, but it'll extinguish the fire. Even if we bring wax or we bring hardened oil, sometimes it could extinguish it suddenly. That's a hard thing to say because you could figure it out. He could have made some way that it should put in some shocks or something that would make it that it wouldn't move. So that's not a real teretz. So the kashi is why doesn't Rashi bring this shot? Then the Rebbe has another shayla. The common later on, when the posik says that the day and night, the mazoles says like the mazoles, the constellations will not rest. So Rashi says, Peter Rashi, what does that mean? This was said after the Mabul. After the Mabul, David said, "I'll never again bring the Mabul, and I'll never have the mazoles rest." So Rashi says, Michlal, that proves that during the days of the Mabul, it did rest. Which means, Rashi says, Shimshu hamazoles, the mazoles did not work. You couldn't see a difference in day and night. You could only see a difference in day and night because the sun, but if the mazoles don't work, you couldn't see. That's what Rashi says. So it comes out from Rashi that he says that the mazolis did not work, so there was no light. Now we have a made it to kasha. The Ram, the Yom Mizrachi asks, what's the purpose of the window of the teva? There was no light throughout the whole mabel. There was no light outside. Only when a window brings light, it has light outside. Inside it's dark, so if you open the window, you bring light in. But if it's dark outside too, what's the purpose of the window? Now here, before Sherash, this is Akasha the before Shabbos, and before Sherash, David, Tirtzu, they answer the Kavonas Leshimsha Mazolis. When the Pasuk says that the Mazolis should not stop anymore, so Rashi says that shows that during the Mabul the Mazolis did stop. Hilitnuas Hagalgalim. It only means the movement of the constellations. Hainu meaning Shekol Yemei Samabul is battle Hekefim B'Sivuvim. Like this, the Mazolis have their sivuv, have their cycle the way they go. Then they didn't go. It doesn't say there was no light. So you could say there was no light. There was light. So that's how they answer the kasha of the Ram and Rashi. That how did the window help? Because there was some light outside. Ulam kvan is boyer kam upon the Rebbe says, but I said many times, Sherashe kosa pirusha b'signin boro. Rashi writes his pshat very clear. Ba'efim shegam ben chomesh l'mikol yita be'kavanose. That even a child who's just starting to learn chumash and starting to learn chumash with Rashi will not make a mistake in what he means. So whatever Rashi says, you can't say Rashi meant this, meant that. But that he says what he means. If he means it, he says it clearly. So in our case, pirush ha'poshut shel dvorov. If you look at the simple taich of Rashi's words, michlal sheshofsu, that during the Mabul, the mazoles rested. Shalei shimshu ha'mazoles, they did not get used. So who the simple pshat is, also shimusham, they didn't do what they're supposed to be doing, tafkidam, their job. Shimush means you're being used for what you have to do. That means that they did not do their job, and what's their job? Lahoyra al to bring light. The late action is batlat nus galgalim, and it's not only that the circle of the galgalim stopped. So according to Rashi, the pashtas, the sun didn't work, it didn't work. So there was no light. So the kasha is a very strong kasha. So what's the purpose of the window? The whole purpose of the window is to bring light. That's why it's called sayar, to bring light. L'chura yeshmokim l'taras kushas haram. L'chura, you could answer the teretz, the kasha of the Ram, and it seems like the Rebbe will stay with this. You could answer it like this. Well, the Farish to explain, shekavonas Rashi, al derech hapshat. What Rashi means, and Rashi is written in derech hapshat, mashakos of shov shekol yimei samabel, that all the days of the Mabel, the Galgalim rested, which means, as the Rebbe says, that they didn't give up light. It's only for the 40 days of the Mabel. Look, like it says, the Mabel was 40 days. That means like this. The general Mabel, the whole thing lasted for a year. 40 days, it rained, and the water came from the bottom. Then there's 150 days that it says after the 150 days are over, the Pasuk says that the underground water that came stopped, and the windows of the heavens were closed. So then nothing happened. Then it was just Mabel, and Noach waited till the water went down, and that took most of the time. So you could learn in Rashi, when Rashi says the days of the Mabel, there was no mazolas, which means there was no light, is only for 40 days. And then as the Rebbe says on the bottom of Orah 17, or 40 days. Or maybe even you could say it went down for 150 days. Shows that by at the end of 150 days, by Yisochru, the bottoms got stuffed up, no more water came from the underground, and Aruvas Hashemayim, and the windows of the Shemayim stopped. By Yikoli Hageshem and Hashemayim, the rain stopped. So there was a concept of rain 40 days, but there was other rain also continued 150 days. So it comes out, but after that, after the 150 days, it all came back. So let's go back to the Pnim. By the way, when the Rebbe said that this could be the pshat in Rashi, that it was only the 40 days, or maybe the 150 days, so the Rebbe says in Orah 15, that's only according to Rashi, in pshat. But al derech hadrush, it says in Yerushalmi, and it says in Medrash, that the mazolas didn't work for 12 months. So, or in the Medrash, in Yerushalmi, it says the whole year of the Mabul. But in derech hapshat, like the Rebbe said many times, Rashi doesn't have to learn derech. All the things that the Chazal say, it's in a different derech halimud. In derech hapshat, everything is simple. And if everything is simple, so it says in Mabul, you're able to say that it means that only the 40 days or even more. Let's go back here. And after the 40 days, mazolis work. So then there's the work, the window brought benefit. And then it became the thing called Sayar. So the we answered the Shaila of the Ron. The Shaila of the Ron, what was the purpose of the Chalik? To bring light. If there was no light, so the Rebbe says, we learned Pshat in Rashi. The beginning, Taka, there was no light for a certain amount of time, for 40 days, maybe even 150 days. But then there was a lot of days afterwards that they used this to bring in light. The kasha is still there. According to ones that hold. That the tzayim means there was a window. What happened to these 40 days? During these 40 days, where did they get light from? According to the one that says that there was an Evan Tave, so then they had the same Evan Tave all the time. But according to the one that says the windows, so the light had to come in from the outside. And the first 40 days, there was no light. So where did they get light there? What did they do with light? That's the Rebbe Shaila. Now, in order 19, the Rebbe goes in that this could be the machlek is whether the Mazal Shimshim. But anyway, that's like a more zaytig gezach from the Pneimesha. That's the Shaila. So we have Kama Shailas. We have the Shailas. First of all, why was there only one window? What would they do if the whole purpose is for bring light, especially such a big teva? What's problem in each pshat? And why doesn't Rashi bring the third pshat that it means that you bring in oil? And now the other Shaila, what kind of light did they have for the first 40 days? In other words, the Rebbe accepts the pshat that only that what Rashi says means only 40 days. So 40 days there was no light. Okay. And then that's why the chalein, the kasha that we asked, what was the purpose of the chalein is not a kasha. For after the 40 days, there's a purpose. But the question is, what brought light? They have to see what they're doing the first 40 days. Rabbi because that's what the pshat that says like this, and everything in derech pshat. But when David told Noach to make the table, the Torah didn't say it. David didn't tell him every detail. Example. The Furish Bekro, it says in Posig, towards the end, Noach took off the cover. There was a cover on the table. Does it say David told him to make a cover? Doesn't say. Also, according to the pshat, that it's an eventay, the second pshat. Later it says he opened the window, and that's when he sent out the bird. How did the window get there? David didn't tell him to make a window. If you hold Tzeir, when David says to make a Tzeir, it means an eventay. Doesn't say you should make a door, an entrance into the table. He told the word the door should be, make the door on the side. But it doesn't say he told him make a door. Why? Why doesn't it say these things? The reason is because the pshuta shel mikra move in a simple pshat it's understood. When David told Noach to make a teva, didn't have to tell him everything that you need to make a teva. It's self-understood. Only those things that Noach would not know on his own. David told him. David didn't have to tell him make a cover or a Pesach to make a door. Simple. The main thing by Teva is to have, you can have without a cover. You're not going to have a door. How could that be? It's understood. So that David didn't have to tell him. Like David didn't have to tell him, get a hammer and bang in the nails. I mean, don't build it. So whatever you're supposed to build in the Teva, fine. So now that we're saying that there's the simple things that is self-understood. David didn't tell him. This explains with the light. The kasha was what brought light? How much light could they bring in? So where did they get light? Or certainly, what did they do in the first 40 days when the window didn't help? Very simple. Noach didn't need David should tell him. Simple. You need something to light up the teva. So many things in the teva, all the animals and kol abhema. Shem is a name. When we told him Noach had to take care of their food. Everyone had its own chamber, its own room. Noach himself prepared oil or candles, whatever it was in that time, to bring light. Complete Siva HaKadosh Baruch Hu, without David is saying. And I would like to add, the Rebbe doesn't say it. Even if you hold it was, if there would be light outside, at night there is no light. What do they do at night? What do they do? What do they think? David should, Naniach will say David should make a window and the window will bring a light. Without all the other kashas, I'm saying. But that's during the day, there's light. At night there is no light. What do we do? Like in the house itself. What do people do in the house? At night, there is no light. You open your windows, there's no light. What do? So you have a candle. We have the bulbs, you have a candle. So the same thing, David didn't have to tell them. It's poshut that you have to bring a light because there's going to be time when it's dark, so you'll use it. But if that's true, that's a great shaila. So why did he tell him make it sayar? For sure, Noach on his own would have done something to light up the table. So why David should tell him make light? Sayar means actually light, as we said in the beginning. Leib says what the light was, but why did he tell him make light? He didn't have to tell him. It just he would do it himself. Therefore, we must say that's an additional thing. A special commandment. The Eibusher told him to make a tzayar, which is an inyan shalayit. Besides the light that he's going to prepare, which he didn't have to tell him, he says, I want you to make a special light. I want you to avoid. You would bring in this and this. I want you to make something else to bring in more light. Now, what is this new light? And this extra light that the Eibusher commanded him to do, that some say it was a window. That the window, through the window, there would be more light. If they would open the window, they have more light. And this would only be obviously, this would only help more light after 40 days. Because during the 40 days, there was no light outside, Rasha says. Even though one window, how much could it bring more light? But the window was used for other things. To take things out, to bring things in, to bring in air. So the main thing is because of light. How do we know the main thing is because of light? Because he calls it sayar. See, if the main thing wouldn't be the light, he wouldn't call it sayar. He would call it chalain. Chalain is a window that you could use for many things. Sayar means that purpose is light. So he wants to, but why make extra light? Because you could also derech hagav use it more. But the main thing is extra light. And as the Rebbe says, Order 23, he wouldn't have made that himself. It seems like he wouldn't have made. We said whatever is simple that you have to do, Noach would have done on his own. Noach would have done on his own, bringing in candles, bringing in oil, but the chalein he wouldn't make. See, according to this is the whole Order 23. According to the pshada, that's an Evan Tev. He understood by himself that you have to make a window, because later it says in Posik, he opened the window. So according to the one that says Sayar is the window, he opened that Sayar. But according to the Mandomer, it says it wasn't the window. That Eibusher never told him to make a window. Where was the window? It says he opened the window. The pshat is, because according to that pshat, he understood himself. But according to this pshat that it was a window, he wouldn't have done that window because he had other ways of light. He didn't need a window. But Eibusher told him, no, I want you to make a window to make extra light. That's one pshat. Now, we said before that if Rashi brings a second pshat, it's because the first pshat is not clear. There's something shver, something not understood. So the Rebbe continues. Schapiro is not such a good pshat. Because of Tzeiah, by the Torah changing from the word chalein, the regular word that in Hebrew, the Lashon Kodesh, a window. And you write Tzeiah, we have to say that the main thing why the Eibusher wanted this window is for extra light. And that's not such a good pshat. Number one, how much it could only shine, light up a small chelik. So the Eibusher wanted extra air, and that's what the whole purpose. Shvach to say that one window will do it. Second thing, even that, it's only after the 40 days, like we said before, So it's not so simple to say that this is what the Eibusher wanted. So to bring the light with a window. Bring another pshat. It was an Evan Tev which shined. According to that, this is a better pshat because here it's extra light. He brought in light anyway, but if you need extra light, you'll go around with this Evan Tev like the flashlight, and we'll go around to the whole thing. Lo irom beis hatzerich when you need more light. The gamma mishamish betzeya kol hazman shoy betev, and they use the tzeya, the even tev, all the days. The two problems with the first pshat isn't there in the second pshat. What are the two problems? Number one, it doesn't give much light. It's only in one place, right against the window, and also it's only after the 40 days. The second pshat is not a problem. Second pshat is not only in one place. You could carry it around, so it does more light in other places, and also that could be right from the beginning, even when there was no light outside. So that's why the second pshat has a mile over the first. But the problem with the second pshat is it doesn't fit to the words of the pasuk where it says "Seyar tasel teva," make a seyar to the teva. Havelaleim should have said "Seyar tachnis lateva," bring in. If seyar means an even tev, it means bring in an even tev. So it should have tachnis. So that's a shverikah to the second pshat. The gam also madua yitzav hakadosh baruch hu lasis dover bilti rogel legamre. Why would David should tell him to do something that's so not common? Lahochin even tevish will taste say about teva. To take an even tev. Where do we hear people taking the even tev to bring in light? It's very not common. To say that that's the pshat in the pasuk is not common, and therefore the second pshat itself wouldn't have been enough. So the first is not enough because the problem you need the second. And the second is not enough because you have a problem, you need the first. Since this pshat is not set, not clear in the lashon of the pasuk, that's why it's like a second. He brings the second pshat, and the rishon of pirush ikir, and the first one is the ikir. In other words, the Rebbe learns that the problem with the first pshat is a lesser problem than with the second, because it seems like, he says it, but it seems like the reason is because according to the problem on the first pshat is not in the lashon of the pasuk. If Tzeir means a window, it fits perfectly to the words. Tzeir tasel teva, make a window in the teva. It doesn't fit to the teichen of what it's supposed to stand for, what it's supposed to accomplish. But that's not going to get the lashon of pasuk. It's a kasha. The second one problem is pushing the words. Tzeir tasel teva doesn't fit. Make a tzeir, make an even when he doesn't mean to make it, to bring it. And the problem in the lashon hakosuf is a bigger problem in the pshat than the problem in the teichen. So that's why the second one is the second, not the first, but they both are and both. Now, the Rebbe doesn't even answer why he doesn't bring the third pshat, but that's obvious already. Why doesn't he bring the third pshat? Because that he wouldn't have to tell him. If the third pshat is bring in yitzhar, bring in oil, so you should be able to have light in the table. He didn't have to tell him that. That he understood himself. So how could Rashi say that he told him bring in light? Like, why doesn't it say other things that he told him? Like I said, he told him to bring a hammer. I want to bring this. Or told him to bring a bucket to carry the food. I mean, so that can be. That's not, that the pasuk doesn't say. So it must be there's something extra. Oh, extra could be one of these two things, and each parashat has something not so clear. Now the next piece, till the end of the Sif, is really not clear what the Rebbe means. I have to tell you that. I'm going to learn it the way I understand the pshat, which is not so clear in the lashonos of the Sikha either. But maybe you could hear what other people learn, how they learn pshat in this next piece. So I'm going to learn it, continue learning as I think it could be the pshat, maybe, not even sure. The ikir. Something else that I could say, and that's a main point. So what I understand is that Rebbe is trying to bring another point of the mile of the first pshat over the second. You see, the last thing we learned, how much that the second pshat answers the kasha of the first, but the second pshat has a problem also. And what was the problem? It doesn't fit the lashon haposik. Now the Rebbe says, I can tell you more. There's another problem with the second pshat, and the first pshat is better, and the Rebbe will explain the mile of the first pshat. There's a shaila in the second pshat, which the first pshat doesn't have. Bahagdim. As I said many times, Rashi in his commentary answers every kasha that's possible that a person might have in the pshute shlonika, in the pshat. The Rebbe has his rayas, because some people would say it's not like that. If you someone writes a pirusham, so some things he explains, some things he doesn't answer. In other words, especially if I don't have an answer, I don't mention it. Rashi in a few places in Chumash writes, I don't know. Who asked him to write, I don't know. Don't write anything and finished. He's mashmir that where every other, and it's kashas that he has, and he doesn't have an answer. He's mashmir that every other kasha he has an answer. Sometimes he doesn't even answer it because he expects us to understand the answer ourselves. Anyway, but Rashi explains everything, any kasha. Now we have, in our case, we have a Meidike kasha that says, which Rashi doesn't answer it. When all the details, when the Eibishter commanded him what to do, what the table should be made of, and how big the table should, all these things. Rashi explains each one why. Why is this? Why did the Eibishter tell him to do this? Rashi starts off, why did he say this? What does the word lama why mean? I need a reason. Rashi, if we wouldn't need a reason, Rashi wouldn't say lama why. Why? The Eibishter knows why. A simon Rashi learns that we have to have a reason. So here, and Rashi explains it. The question is, Mahu Tam the Tzayar. What's the reason for the Tzayar? The Eibishter had to make a Tzayar. Why? Now you could say a Tzayar means a window, and it's in order to be able to send the bird. You could send it through the door. So we don't see why the Eibishter told him to make a Tzayar. And I think there's a double kasha here. What's the reason for the tzayar? And why did the Eibishter have to tell him? If there is a reason for the tzayar, then it's self-understood. Why did the Eibishter have to give him a special tzivui for the tzayar? So lochem pirush Rashi, that's why Rashi says that what does tzayar mean? Echaloim. Now, the Rebbe is going to explain that it means a window. Now we understand why he wouldn't have himself done it. And the Eibishter had to tell him. Why? He wouldn't have made a window. The Eibishter told him, I'm going to destroy them. So the Eibishter told him what he's going to do. It makes sense that the Eibishter told him everything he's going to do to the Mabul. The Eibishter told him, I'm not going to allow the Mazolis to work. So probably Noach knew. If Noach knew that, why would Noach make a window? Why would he make a window? Now, this could be even if you don't learn, if you don't learn that the Mazolas didn't work only for 40 days. But he didn't know that. The Eibishter told him, if it won't work, the Mazolas won't work. So why would he make a chalon? Well, what happened? So why did the Eibishter tell him to make a chalon? He read on Berachmim. When the Eibishter brought a mabel, it wasn't a mabel first. He brought it down with Rachmim. If they do tshuva, it'll become a rain, a good rain. And it won't destroy, and the mazolis will not stop working. That's why he told him to make a window. He told him to make a window, and the Rebbe doesn't say what I'm going to say now, but I think that's what he means. I can't say for sure. We asked the Shaila, what was the purpose of the challah? And the Rebbe said before, there was enough light there, because he on his own brought in candles, oil, light. The Rebbe said, I want you to have extra. So make a challah. So we asked the Shaila, what's the purpose of the extra? Now we know why. The Eibishter, again, I'm saying it on my own. The Eibishter wanted to show him, make a challah, because I'm not sure that the mazolos will stop working. That is done through the challah. And the Eibishter had to tell him, he himself would not know, because he knew that there would be no mazolos, so that he would not make a challah. Because it wouldn't help, it wouldn't do anything. But the Eibishter told him to make a challah, because Lamaisa, the Eibishter started off, it was Geshem. And they could have done tshuva. Had he done tshuva, everything would have been different. Then there would be a light, that's what the Eibishter make a challah. The Rebbe doesn't say, but it seems like that's the reason. He asked the Shaila, Ma tam tzayah. Why is there a tzayah? So Rasha says, why didn't the Torah say what the reason is? Or why didn't Rasha say? So Rasha said it. By Rasha saying it was a window, if you start thinking, what's the purpose of a window? A window is to bring in light, especially if you call it tzayar. So you start thinking, why did he want him to make this light? Probably because light will come in. How could light come in? So must be that it's a possibility that there will be light. And the Eibishter showed it to him by making the challah. Even teva, why? We said before, there was enough light there. The Eibishter wants extra light. What's the purpose? Why? Not with the kasha. We said before, what's the purpose of this? How much light? It could bring more light, true. But what's the purpose? Why did the Eibishter want the extra light? So There's no reason for it. That's a chesed in the second pshat. So the first pshat is better. Now, I don't know if this is so, because otherwise the Lashon is not clear. So if someone has comments and to explain the pshat differently, I'm ready to listen. Okay, so now we al kaponim understand the simple pshat of Rashi. What's the chassidus of Rashi? Pirish Rashi zeh. So we have two things, two pshatim here, whether it was a window or it was an eventay. Hahefresh ben ha'esh nichzat ichal lo even shal ha'eir shal eventay who. The difference in light that comes to a window and light that comes from the eventay, from the jewel. Eir achalon no eir abam b'chutz. If you open the window and you get light, light comes from the outside. Eir eventay me'ir b'bifnim. Eventay shines inside. It shines in the darkness. It shines from itself, and it's not bringing in light from someplace else. These two things represent two ways of serving Hashem. The first thing is a closed dikazach. Seyar is the tachlis of Avodas Hashem. For what's the purpose? You have to bring the light into the world. Okay. But Zayachli is a base of that could be in two ways how you bring in the light. The first way is to make a window. Hainu. Like I said before in the beginning, a window doesn't mean window with glass. It means a hole that comes in. Ki be'emes yeshna eiro elokuz ba'elam. Be'emes, there is godliness in the world. It's just covered up. Even though Shabbat le'asoki michelim liris hashgacha pratis binyon ha'elam shalahem. It's known, it says that in Hayim Yem that business people could see hashgacha pratis in the world. They see the Eibishter. More than people who are in yeshiva, people who learn all day, daven all day. But in order to get that, to see it, you have to take off the cover. There's a cover. The teva covers up, and you got to get rid of the cover. To take away the garment of teva, which covers up on the Eibishter and the lakus, which is higher. Because in teva you have higher than teva, but it's covered by teva. That's the first level, and the person serves the Eibishter. Last is chalein, to make a window. The mechitza v'hester the teva, in the mechitza, the concealment of teva. That the light of the Eibishter higher than teva should shine in. Like here, in the teva represents the whole world, and in the world you have to have the light from the outside, from the Eibishter to come. After there was a window done in the mechitza of teva, and already you reach that level that you brought in light higher than teva, that in teva you should see a Eibishter, and gives a person the power, the salis, to go higher. And what is that? That's the second pshat. The Yeshemrim. When Asher says Yeshemrim, it was a window. Then he says Yeshemrim. So the Rebbe teaches Yeshemrim. Some say, who are those some? Shek elu shekvar osachal. Some meaning after you finish with being a chalein, you brought in a lakus from the outside into the world. Now you could have an eventay v'ameir lehem. You have the eventay which shines, which is from the thing itself. Hainu, which means not only you take away the concealment of teva, you change the teva itself. The teva in itself shines. Because as we said before, teva itself has a hair. So the first you could see the lamaylam and teva, and the teva is taken away. But you could bring out that the teva itself is like Evan Atzmanas is Evan Teva Meir. The Evan itself is an Evan Teva, and the word Evan Teva means the Teva Mu'irim, means it shines. Teva a lot of times means light. So that's the second madrege. And in order 31, the Rebbe says, Al derech beza yifanim bebiru racheshech. It says you have to be mevared darkness. So it says two things, two ways. Number one, take away the darkness, so it shouldn't cover up the light. Or the higher than the cheshech itself changed the light, and that's the two pshatim, whether it's a chalein or it's an eventay. So this is the chassidus pshat of this, what Rashi says. Now, if anybody wants to comment on pshat in this in that sif.
Yeah, I'd just like to ask the question about the raven the Noach sent out.
Yeah.
you send it out through the front door, the other animals could crawl out already. Maybe he had to send it out through a chalon, which is higher above.
I'm sure the other birds also. Why didn't they fly out? Wasn't the only
And
bird.
Hochanami, so he probably
Okay,
just
so why say he watched it? He probably stood there and opened it up and let it go and make sure no one goes. Same thing he said that was down at the door. I mean, he could have put a guard, be a guard.
Could that be a shot why they told him to make a chalon? Or that's not after shot?
No, doesn't say. Then he wouldn't call it. No, the Rebbe said before that is a reason, but since he calls it Zayar, must be that's not the main reason. Because the main reason, Zayar, the shine.
Yeah. Because you just said before, Nara said that the Rebbe said it could go through the door instead of the roof, instead of the Zayar.
Yeah.
What does it say if it was Mamsha marble and there was no glass? So obviously he made it out of the wood or the.
Out of wood, he made a cover.
Cover.
Yes, and the Rebbe actually, I didn't go into that order. If you want to look here in order 23, the end of order 23, the Rebbe mentions this. He says, why wouldn't he have made a chalein? Because he said that Noach on his own would not have made a chalein. So he says, look at order 23. Lulei tzivi HaKadosh Baruch, if not for the Eibishter, ulei lo Noach es a chalon. He wouldn't make a window or window l'hoyer tziva. Why? He had to bring candles anyway.
Right.
And then he says further, and making a window is a problem. It blocks, like you don't get protected from the water so much. So on his own, probably he would hesitate from making a window. So the Rebbe does mention it. But Lapel Mamish, when he didn't want, he closed it. And the first 40 days, it was when it was really raining hard, he didn't open it. Chalon was there, but it wasn't used. And later on, used it. Also,
looking today's chitas, and I think from Rashi, it said that Takdim is also going to work for 12 months. I think that's what Rashi from today's chitas. That the Mazol is going to work for 12 months, not just 40 days.
It doesn't say that. It just says the time of the Mabel. The Rebbe used the Lashon.
Okay. Yeah.
So the Rebbe says, you may something, the word Mabel, it says, Vahiyah Mabel, Naboyim Yem. You could Mabel, sometimes Mabel goes on the whole story, and sometimes it goes specifically on the 40 days, or maybe even down to the 50 days, but not the whole time. So the Rebbe learns Pshat Rashi from the word. You could learn like that.
40 days.
The Rebbe says L'cho'ura you could learn, but it seems like later on he take a holes like that. Okay.
Thank you very much.
I have a different question, if I may.
Yeah, sure.
According to the Pshat, that Tzayar means Evan Taiva. Lefi Aniyas Daiti, I never saw, and maybe just because I never saw it, an Evan Taiva that should have its own light inside it.
Right. We always, from being kids, we always wondered, how is there an Evan Taiva that shines? And there are Evan Taiva that glows. There are such things. That's what we were told even when we were kids. Yes, there is. And the Rebbe says here in order, let's see, right in the beginning, the Shule Agilia, the bottom, he says, why the Rasha says Evan Taiv, and why not Margolis, like the Gemara uses the Loshen?
Right.
Alderech Harogel Margolius, which usually means Pninim. Pninim means pearls. Elo, sometimes it's also called Evan Taiv, but Margolis ain't a Dover Hameir. Mashenken Avonim Taivis, Yesh Mehem, Minim Shemeirim. Yes, there are kinds of stones that shine.
Mm-hmm.
There are.
Or you can learn Pshat that they told him to take. Or you can learn Pshat that they told him to take a certain type of jewel that was infused with light. That was part of the tzivui.
That was able to give light.
Yes, that was able to give light.
Yeah, I think the neighbor takes such a jewel that gives light, 100%. Yeah. And probably knew what jewels. And I think there are. I remember from Alamo, you always ask and say, yeah, there are some jewels that give light.
Yeah, like the uranium gives light.
Oh, okay.
That's not a jewel.
So usually,
normally, a jewel has light because it reflects the sun.
Right.
But there are that have their own. Actually, this has nothing to do with the Sikha, because the end, when the Rebbe says that the Evan tape gives light from itself, it says in the bottom, look in the Maimer, Tovshin Bey, say a Tasel Lateva. So in that Maimer explains it. That the union of an Evan tape giving light is a light that comes from itself. And there are things. What do they do nowadays when they have the light that lights up at night? Not bulbs, but when the police come and they shine light to see where they're going. If they say the army, when they go at war, so that's some kind of light. I don't know. I don't know what, but there are such things, I guess.
We were so good that there was a jewel like that.
Yeah. No, but I think it's even now like that, some Jews. I don't know. I franked was on the bikini.
When we were kids, we had these watches. They used to light up at night, the numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they used to glow. That's what I remember the
Glow.
word. It glows.
What it's called?
We used to have some toys that when you make, only when it's completely dark, you see them. They glow. Yeah.
Yeah, you can Google it. You'll see there's a type of rock. Uperite rocks apparently glow.
Oh, okay. Okay.
There you got it. Mr. Google is right.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Hey, Ashikoyach.
Mr. Favasa, good enough.
Good enough. Thank you.